Hi everyone, thank you for joining us today at our July Lunch and Learn on Summer Self-Care, presented by Kristin Mitas, Health and Wellness Coordinator here at Good Shepherd.
Welcome everybody, and thank you for joining today's Lunch and Learn. I'm Kristin Mitas, the Wellness Coordinator for Good Shepherd Healthcare System, and today I'm going to share some tips to help you work on self-care during the summer. Here's an overview of the topics we'll cover today. We'll start by discussing ways to incorporate movement in your day, discuss the importance of hydration and incorporating fresh produce into your diet. Then we'll transition to talk about sun and heat safety and sunscreen, of course, talking about heat warning signs to look out for, medication interactions, and we'll also remind you of the importance of a good night's sleep. Now, whether you choose to get outside and work out and get some vitamin D or opt to stay indoors, we have resources to help you remain active this summer. If you're a Good Shepherd employee or volunteer, the Wellness Center is available to you and your family members 24/7 with your badge access. Don't forget to get your daily COVID screening wristband, to wear your mask, and to sign in, and of course, wipe down all equipment when you're done with it. Otherwise, most fitness centers have resumed their schedules or have opened back up in some capacity. Just don't forget to follow facility guidelines to ensure the health and safety of yourself and those around you. If you want to enjoy the outdoors without going too far or too aggressively, we do have you covered. You can find the perfect walking or wheelchair rolling trail in Hermiston, Stamfield, and Umatilla to improve your health by visiting walkrxtrails.com. And there you'll find over 20 routes to help you exercise as medicine and improve your quality of life. Well, we don't have mountains right here. We do have the Butte right next to the hospital. And the Butte has a few paths leading up to the top, and there are scenic views of Hermiston and the surrounding area from there. So it's a great thing to check out if you have the time and it works well with your body. But no matter where you are with your mobility, we recommend being gentle on your body, especially if you are new to working out or have taken a break for some time. You don't want to push it too far, overexert yourself, and then be hurting for days afterwards. If the pain intensifies 24 to 48 hours after working out, you might be experiencing DOMS or delayed onset muscle soreness. And when you work out, you do create little muscle tears. But DOMS is a result of overexerting your body, usually from eccentric exercises like bicep curls and running downhill, or from lengthening contractions from running downhill or just overexerting yourself. And in these instances, you don't only have muscle tears, but you also have increased inflammation as well. And some ways to combat that are, well, this is a good idea in general, to follow a 10% rule where you increase your activity level by 10% each week instead of trying to go from 0 to 100 right off the bat. Make sure that you progress reasonably, that you're taking things slow and steady. It not only helps prevent injury, but allows your body the opportunity to recover so that you can progress better and lead to your goals more quickly. Don't forget the importance of warming up and having a cool down after your exercise as well. The cool down helps regulate your blood flow and can relieve inflammation and the buildup of lactic acid. Stretching and foam rolling are also great techniques to help with your muscle recovery as well. And if you can make it happen, a massage is also a great idea. And know that the no pain, no gain rule isn't valid. That's not true. You can get a great workout without pushing your body to that level of pain and soreness. Right. Now, regardless of your ability to work out, it is important to pay attention to your hydration, especially in the summer months when it's a lot hotter out. Our bodies as adults are made up of about 60% water, and consuming water is essential for our survival. Among many things, water is required in regulating body temperature, forming saliva, and flushing the body of waste in the form of urine, bowel movements, and perspiration. And it's a good idea to consume more water when you are in hot climates and more physically active and perspiring more. But you do want to watch out for signs of dehydration, which can include headache and muscle cramps, fatigue, decreased urine production, lightheadedness, and constipation. And one way to mitigate this is to carry around a water bottle, especially an insulated water bottle in warmer months to keep the water cooler. And hopefully that way you'll be reminded that you should be drinking more water on a regular basis. Let's see, and if you're someone who doesn't love the taste of water so much, you can play around with it, try to enhance it by adding lemon or lime to the water to make it more flavorful, or you can try infusing it with herbs like mint, basil, rosemary, or thyme, or putting those or fruit into your water, putting it in the fridge for a few hours, and then just pulling those out of the water and then consuming it within the next 3 days. And so you don't necessarily need to get a fancy infusing water bottle. You can just strain the stuff out of the water and it'll just taste great for you that way. But if that level of effort isn't in the cards for you, there are also flavored options like drops called Stur, S-T-U-R. They're pretty clean. And then there's Noon tablets, N-U-U-N, that have cleaner ingredients as well and added electrolytes. And if you're sweating profusely from the heat or from exercise or anything else, you do want to focus on replacing those electrolytes. And you can get that from the Noon tablets or from sports drinks like Gatorade, Powerade, and plenty of others. Oh, and also I want to remind you that it's wise to limit your alcohol consumption when it's hot out. With the heat and the sun, your body heats to cool down, and alcohol is a diuretic. And this causes your body to expel fluids more quickly, and the combination is incredibly dehydrating for your body and can lead to heat stroke more easily. One way to increase your water consumption is to increase your produce consumption. And that reminds me that it's watermelon season, and that's, I know, a big deal here at Hermiston. And watermelon is over 90% water, plus it contains fiber and vitamins and lycopene, which is a great antioxidant. So if that works for your body and you're not allergic to it, go ahead and eat as much watermelon as you want. Consuming fruits and vegetables is really important for a healthy diet. And the summertime is a great time to experiment with produce like this to see what works well for your body. When it's hotter out, people tend to like lighter foods in their bodies, and this can be a great way of introducing them into your body. A major benefit to consuming local produce like the Hermiston watermelons is the level of freshness. Fruits and veggies begin to lose their nutrients within 24 hours of being picked. And when you're getting local produce, you're getting it in a much shorter span of time than when it's traveling across the country or even around the world to get to you. So the nutrient profile should still be pretty strong when you're getting produce that is local. They're also more abundant at this time of year, and so that usually tends to make things more affordable. And also, buying local tends to mean there's less pollution from the shorter distance that the food is traveling to get to you. Now, eating a diverse variety of produce has a ton of health benefits, like lowering cholesterol, blood pressure, preventing some cancers, or reducing your risk of cancers, improving vision, reducing your risk for heart disease and stroke, having a positive effect on blood sugar, and on maintaining a healthy weight. The risk for cardiovascular disease goes down dramatically with an increased consumption of fruits and veggies. In a Harvard-based nurses' health study and health professionals follow-up study, just under 110,000 men and women had their dietary habits tracked for 14 years. And those that averaged 8 or more servings of fruits and veggies per day were 30% less likely to have a heart attack or stroke, with green leafy vegetables like spinach, lettuce, and Swiss chard and mustard greens having the greatest impact on reducing cardiovascular disease. Now, I know 8 servings a day might sound like a bit much, might be excessive for some people, but remind you that the recommended servings are 5 to 9 of fruits and veggies a day. So I know that might be a little difficult, so if it works for you, just try to incorporate 1 additional fruit or veggie per day. See how that goes. See if that works well for your body, and maybe try a different fruit or veggie if that doesn't work well, and just go from there. And I know that one barrier to consuming more produce is the cost, but there are some ways that you can circumvent this and work with what's happening in the season, like buying in season, since fruits and veggies tend to be more cost effective at that time. You can also take those and freeze them in portions so they'll last longer and can be used in cooking or baking, or go ahead and cook and bake and then throw those things in the freezer. Do some comparison shopping, look for coupons, see if different grocery stores have different prices on different produce. And keep in mind that pre-cut produce is really convenient, but you're also going to be spending more for that. So you want to weigh the benefits of getting the produce more quickly or getting it ready to eat more quickly versus the cost. And also consider buying frozen fruits and veggies. They're picked and stored at the highest level of nutrients, so you are still getting that great nutrient profile for yourself. And then canned fruits and veggies can also be an option. You just want to look for vegetables that don't have any added salts. And with fruit, try to get it that's canned in 100% fruit juice. And then the other option for us here is to have vegetable gardens. I've heard that from a lot of employees here, which is fantastic. And then we also have our community garden as well. So that's really accessible for everyone, hopefully. All right, now, you want to dive into the quality of your produce a bit more without fully committing to the higher costs of getting organic food. You might want to take a look at the Environmental Working Group, or EWG, website. On there, every year they create the Dirty Dozen, which is they take the research that's done nationally, and then they compile the list of the 12 fruits and vegetables that contain the highest level of pesticides. And so that can kind of be something that you use as a gauge to say, well, maybe I want to focus on more organic produce for these items. And then the Clean 15 are the fruits and veggies that tend to have the least amount of pesticides on them. So regardless of whether you eat organic or conventional or fresh or frozen, increasing your consumption of fruits and veggies is going to be beneficial for your health. Another thing that's good for your health is wearing sunscreen when you're outdoors. And I know there's confusion around sunscreen, when to wear it, what kind to wear, how much to use. So we want to spend some time on this topic. You want to look for a broad spectrum sunscreen, which means it protects against UVA rays, which are the ones that increase the signs of aging, and UVB rays, which cause sunburns. You also want to look for one that's water resistant. There are no sunscreens that are actually waterproof. Water resistant is as close as it comes. And when it's water resistant, there is a label that indicates whether it's for 40 minutes or 80 minutes of more protection while you're swimming or sweating. But sunscreen rubs off in the water. It comes off when you're sweating more. So you want to keep that in mind for reapplying your sunscreen. And ideally, we should all be wearing sunscreen every single day because the UV rays come through the clouds even and can still affect our skin. And this is also regardless of your skin tone. People with darker skin tones do have more melanin, which helps block some of the rays, but even that only provides an SPF of about 13. So you're still at risk for skin damage when you have darker skin tones. And it's a good idea to still remain vigilant if you do have darker skin with your skin and looking for abnormalities, because people with darker melanin tend to not get diagnosed with skin cancer until further stages along the way. Regardless, on a daily basis, everyone should be wearing sunscreen, an SPF of at least 15, even if it's overcast, because of those rays getting through the clouds. And when you're outside for extended periods of time, you should bump that up to an SPF of at least 30. SPF of 30 blocks 97% of radiation, and SPF 50 blocks 99% of radiation. So it is just a little marginal difference, not tremendous. And beyond that, an SPF of 50, the FDA says you're wasting your money and that it's inherently misleading. And then when it comes to how much to put on, there is a 1 ounce rule. You should apply roughly 1 ounce of sunscreen to your entire body, or a shot glass worth of sunscreen. I know that seems like a lot. It's certainly something you might want to give it a shot. Didn't mean to have a pun there. See if that shot glass will help your body out. It might take a little while longer to rub it in, but just, see what you're supposed to do and see if you can make that work for yourself. But then from there, you've applied your sunscreen, you think you're ready to go, but you might not be. You want to wait 15 minutes so that the sunscreen can be absorbed into your skin. And then remember that you do need to reapply, especially if you're sweating excessively, swimming, toweling off, or if it's been 2 hours since your last application. You might also be wondering what type of sunscreen to purchase. There are mineral sunscreens and chemical sunscreens. Mineral sunscreens have ingredients like zinc oxide or titanium dioxide, and they sit on top of the skin and act as a physical barrier deflecting the UV rays. They're known for having a white residue, which I know can be frustrating, but they're still considered generally safe by the FDA. And then there are chemical sunscreens, which are the ones that we're more traditionally accustomed to for sunscreens that have ingredients like oxybenzone and avobenzone. And they penetrate the skin and absorb the UV rays under the skin as a chemical barrier or sponge. And these are generally easier to rub into the skin, and they don't leave the white residue. The FDA does allow these ingredients, but they say that more testing is required now. So that's something that you might want to keep in mind. Hawaii has banned oxybenzone because it kills coral reefs. And so you might see no oxybenzone when you're looking at sunscreens. I see that more and more commonly now these days. So there might be some more changes coming with sunscreens. But regardless, they are required to stay at their original strength for 3 years. But if you keep your sunscreen in your car, it's getting overheated, you might want to recycle that bottle a little sooner, or replace it, I should say. And make sure you check your bottle's expiration dates in case you might have been holding onto the bottles in the back of your cupboard or something for a very long time. 3 years can go by pretty quickly. And as a reminder, another way to avoid these damaging rays is to avoid tanning beds. Like, that's pretty self-explanatory these days. All right. Now, regardless of whether you're outside in the heat, or when you're outside in the heat, you want to pay attention to how your body is functioning and reacting. And you want to watch out for hyperthermia and heat exhaustion. Now, I know most people are familiar with hypothermia, when your body temperature drops too low, but the opposite is also possible. Hyperthermia includes several stages leading up to heat exhaustion and eventual heat stroke, including heat cramps, sunburns, and heat rash. And the handout in front of you outlines these stages of heat-related illnesses. A heat rash typically develops after being active in the heat for a long time, and the rashes tend to look like red clusters of small pimple-like blisters that form under clothes soaked in perspiration, but they tend to clear up quickly when the skin is cooled. And unfortunately, most people are with sunburns, and those can cause painful red and warm skin, and unfortunately, sometimes blistering as well. Heat cramps tend to involve heavy sweating from intense exercise, and those can involve muscle pains as well. And you should seek medical assistance if the pain doesn't go away after an hour, if you're on a low sodium diet, or if you have heart problems. Heat exhaustion is the final stage before stroke and is marked by heavy sweating, a fast and weak pulse, nausea or vomiting, muscle cramps, weakness, dizziness, headache, and possibly fainting. So with all of these symptoms, you want to make sure that that you're hydrating, that you get out of the heat, and also that you seek medical attention if this person is throwing up or if their symptoms don't improve within the hour. And with a heat stroke, the body's internal temperature rises above 103 degrees. At this point, people are confused and irritable. They can't have their sense of coordination, that's lacking. They have limited sweating and flushed skin, and they can also pass out. Under these circumstances, you want to place bags of ice near major arteries like the armpits, the groin, and the neck area as well. And this can help lower the body's temperature. And you want to move the person to an air-conditioned space if possible, give them a cold bath, and also seek medical assistance. We want you to enjoy summer activities, but in a safe manner. So we've got some additional tips here. Move into the shade when possible and limit or avoid outdoor activities between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. when the sun's rays are the highest. There are also recommendations to wait until even after 4 p.m. for the amount of sun that can still be coming through. Keep in mind that UV rays also reflect off of water, the sand, and snow, so you might want to be more careful when you're in these environments. Wear clothes that limit the amount of rays hitting your body, like a wide-brimmed hat, sunglasses, and long sleeves and pants. Regular clothing does have less protection than SPF 15 sunscreen, but tightly woven fabrics protect better, and there are actually a lot of companies that are making clothing with a special coating to provide a UPF, or ultraviolet protection factor, specifically to block out UV radiation. And there are different degrees for the level of UPF in the clothing, and the higher the UPF, the higher the protection from UV rays. Something that may not come to mind as readily is the fact that some medications and over-the-counter drugs can increase photosensitivity. There are two types of photosensitivity: phototoxicity and photoallergy. Phototoxicity is the more common of the two. After ingesting some drugs, the drugs absorb the sunlight, becoming activated and forming compounds that damage the cell membranes. And the resulting inflammatory response is to cause a more extreme sunburn. And this can occur in a relatively short amount of time, from just minutes to hours after being in the sun. And then photoallergy, on the other hand, is less common and can even take days for their reaction to develop. In those cases, the UV light from the sun structurally changes the drug that has been ingested, leading to the development of an antigen. And as the immune system attacks the antigen, an allergic reaction develops, which could resemble eczema. The first sign is typically itching, followed by redness and potentially swelling. Increased sensitivity to heat also leads to dehydration and heat stroke, as the body's ability to sweat is reduced and the amount of urine is increased. So you see quite a list of drugs here. Oh, I don't know what happened to those, why they're smaller. Anyways, some common medications like antibiotics, cold and allergy medicines like Benadryl, painkillers and medications to treat acne like Retin-A and Accutane, NSAIDs like ibuprofen, blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes, and cancer medications, and supplements like St. John's wort may increase your risk of interaction. So definitely check the labels on your prescription and over-the-counter bottles to see if there is a warning to avoid sunlight.
Even with the sun out late, it's important to get a good night's rest so that your body and mind can recharge. Poor sleep is linked to poor cognition, decreased physical activity, increased caloric intake, and weight gain. So you want to try and get 7 to 9 hours of sleep each night, whether you're working or not, and establish sleep patterns so you go to bed and wake up at the same time every day. Consider using blackout curtains or eye masks if that's helpful to block out the sun and background light to help your body rest. Now, while we have so many medical advances, it's best to avoid long-term use of sleep aids containing diphenhydramine, like Benadryl, Tylenol PM, ZzzQuil, or Unisom. Diphenhydramine is an antihistamine that also tends to cause drowsiness and thus assists in inducing sleep. It's in a class of drugs known as anticholinergics, which block the work of the neurotransmitter acetylcholine that's involved in brain function, learning, and memory. People who use anticholinergics regularly are at a 54% higher risk for dementia, so please speak with your provider if you have any questions or concerns. Anticholinergics also decrease the production of sweat, thus increasing the risk for heat stroke. Instead, try chamomile tea, melatonin, magnesium, glycine, or valerian root. Now, you also want to avoid screen time on your TV, computer, phone, and tablet 30 minutes to an hour before bed. Opt to read some light fiction instead or chat with family members. And if it's unavoidable, use blue light blocking glasses, nighttime settings on your phone, and extensions like f.lux on your computer, so melatonin production is not disrupted by the blue lights emitted from your screens. Melatonin is often referred to as a sleep hormone. Its production increases with darkness and helps regulate the circadian rhythm or sleep-wake cycle. I want to thank you all for joining our Lunch and Learn today. And that's all we have for you. Thank you so much.